The son priest is the middle child of 10 brothers-sisters who grew up in a warm and noisy home in Elgin, is known to be the occasional victim domestic violence who hosted Bible study, raised children, or needed safe haven. Then tragedy struck him. His mother fell ill from congestive heart failure and other subsequent health conditions. But during this time of crisis, Brandon Johnson emerged as a leader and brought his siblings together to come up with a plan to take care of the family and home he once ran, recalled his younger sister Andrea Johnson Williams. She was just 19 when her mother, Wilma Jean Johnson, in 1995 at the age of 50. The house was by no means opulent, but as a child, Williams always loved how beautiful hardwood floors could shine. She recalled Johnson telling young children how to clean them properly, going down to rub her hands and knees, as my mother taught us. He really stepped in that way, Williams, the pastor at Community Center Christian Ministries in Elgin, recalled. From that moment on, I never had a problem with Brandon, was collaborating. In Tuesday's mayoral runoff, Johnson, an underdog candidate, narrowly defeated frontrunner Paul Vallas, a former Chicago Public Schools CEO and a fixture at City Hall decades ago under Mayor Richard M. Daley. Williams predicted that Johnson would run Chicago as mayor as he led his family years ago, through good example, hard work, and compassion. He is a servant leader and ready to do his job. Brandon Johnson on campaign trail jokes, calls of black ancestors, and the promise of a Chicago in vigor. It was a stunning victory for the previously little-known Cook County Commissioner and black progressive, which is often billed as the people's anti-establishment candidate. Yet, throughout often heated campaign, 47-year-old Johnson has become a political superstar of the left, garnering national headlines for his rhetoric of fighting wealthy and elite ruling class. In his victory speech on Tuesday, Johnson detailed his vision for Chicago as a city where no is too poor to live, one of cities in of the richest countries world's time. This is the progressive movement around the United States. Chicago can show the country, we can show the world what is possible when stand on our values as one people. Prior to his victory, this vision was reinforced by U.S. Senator Bernie Sanders at a campaign rally just days before the election. That's what Brandon Johnson is about, Sanders said to cheer the crowds. We will do something the city has never seen before. It will bring people together to make sure all of our people live a good life. And what Brandon and all of us are doing in Chicago tonight is what we should be doing all over the country. And that is to create local, state and federal government that works for everyone. Not just 1%. During the campaign, Johnson pledged to bring fully funded schools, more affordable housing, improved mental health services to Chicago, and tackle rooted causes of violence, poverty. The Chicago Teachers Union's massive outlay for mayor on Brandon Johnson draws criticism over union influence and pushback among some members. A former middle school teacher, Johnson taught for several years at Jenner Academy Elementary School, near the Cabrini-Green public housing, which has since been demolished, particularly formative in his decision to run for mayor and platform. He later taught at Westinghouse College Prep on the West Side, later served as an organizer and registered lobbyist for the Chicago Teachers Union, which strongly funded his campaign. Tara Stamps, who taught with Johnson at Jenner's, reminded her of her dedication to children inside and outside the classroom. Tara Stamps, Executive Director of New Teacher Development at the Chicago Teachers Union, speaks at a rally outside Chicago Public Schools headquarters on July 28, 2021, to call for more funding for social workers, librarians, books, and capital improvements. Edit, change source. When he talks about students who touched his heart and changed his politics, it all started with Jenner, says Stamps, Executive Director of New Teacher Development at the Chicago Teachers Association. In many ways, the one who taught me, my next-door teacher, is the person Chicago met. The core values are the same. When you hear Brandon say, "I invest in people," he means it. Because that's what he did as a teacher. When Jenner had several sports teams for kids due to a shortage of coaches, Johnson became a basketball coach, and the football coach and head coach of softball team, Stamps told. He did this because he understood the relationship between sports and academics, he said. He also knew the value of giving young people safe spaces, keeping them off the streets and out of harm's way. In the classroom, the social studies teacher encouraged her students have a deep knowledge of current events, drawing parallels to their own lives and communities make global issues relevant. He said that while learning about South Africa, students would make dioramas reflecting life in the art class and practice trading currency at the exchange rate during math. They were watching their buildings collapse. They were watching gentrification happen before their eyes. There was one student in particular who had extremely high grades and test scores throughout school, but got a D that prevented him from graduating. Stamps tell, Johnson believed the young lady had been treated unfairly and fought the management to allow her to matriculate. Stamps likened Johnson to the legendary Harold Washington, Chicago's first black mayor. His mother, community activist Marion Nzinga Stamps, helped in the election in 1983. "Brandon will fight for you," he said. "With Brandon at the helm, we can build a city we all deserve, serve people, take care of them." As teenagers, Johnson's sister recalled that the two had learned how to drive in 15-seater church vans. After his mother's, Johnson, who was in college at time, assisted in church's ministries leading youth group, Williams recalled taking children to gospel singing competitions with Johnson, who accompanied drums. Taken in 1995, the year mother Wilma Jean Johnson at age 50, a photo shows Brandon Johnson surrounded by family. Clockwise from top center Father Rev Andrew Johnson and siblings Andrea, Aaron, Ashley, Joy, Jeremy, and cousin Jamie, who was living with the family at the time. Williams said the church maintains a bucket of clothing, an assortment of tights, skirts, pants, and shirts, so every child has access to clean dress clothes when needed. We did what we knew. Serve, care for, and cooperate with people. Williams thought Johnson would become a pastor like his father, Andrew Johnson too. But over the years, he realized how many people he could help as a community organizer and public servant. "Brandon has a gift my mom had, which was to really see the potential in her.